So hello, we're here in the majestic redwoods of Northern California, and I'm sitting here with Colt Briner and Brian Weller, who's joining me today to talk about their initiative, Rad Creative. Brian, you've talked a lot also about neuroscience and the cognitive science about and surrounding creativity. What happens in the brain, going back to that insight part of it, can you talk about what happens in the brain with insight and that creative factor?
Yeah, we're discovering more and more about what's happening in the brain during those moments of aha.
There's actually a light bulb inside your head.
There is, yes. That's why we get screwed in, right?
How many people does that take again?
It's often referred to, the eureka moment, right? So here's the thing. The state of insight is one that's characterized by usually an elevated mood, a sense of expectancy, and it's that sense of, almost that sense of thrill or excitement. It's that sense. Now, what's interesting is that there is a system in the brain called the cingulate system, and the anterior cingulate system. That is a system which has been well mapped in neuroscience, and what we've discovered is that it monitors, the anterior cingulate system monitors those moments when there's conflict or tendencies of conflict. It could be, for example, that a person is experiencing, right? It could be, for example, wrestling with a problem and you don't know the solution to it. It could even be as simple as forgetting someone's name or trying to recall something. But often it's associated with a time of challenge when you don't know what to do or what the way out is. Now, what the anterior cingulate system does is monitoring this. And what it does, it basically is able to filter what we call the signal-noise ratio, right? And it's able to communicate to all those other parts of the brain which are involved in dealing with this whatever situation is. And it's able, in a sense, to orchestrate and get the attention of all these other different parts or components, if you like, of the brain, and then glean, make the setting, if you will. It sets the stage for, that's the way to go. Try this out. Let's do that. And you can see in the research, you can see those parts of the brain lighting up literally.
So cool.
When that moment of insight occurs, that aha. And you can think of it a little bit like, a conductor with an orchestra. The orchestra's tuning up. They've just arrived from their lunch break. They're tuning up and they're getting together, and it's like all this noise is going on, and suddenly the tap of the baton collects everyone's attention. And now we're going to create something incredible. That magical moment. That's really what the anterior cingulate system does.
Brian has two.
One for himself, one for everyone else.
Anterior and posterior. Yeah. Now, also, I mean, one other thing we could add to this whole conversation. Back in 1956, one of the great pioneers of neuroscience, a man called Paul MacLean, American, I think it was maybe Canadian, but anyway, he wrote this amazing book called The Triune Brain, the 3-in-1 brain, the Triune Brain, and it was a master work that's still ricocheting today, although it's been modified somewhat. But the basic idea was this: what MacLean discovered was that the three principal regions of the brain, what we call the upper brain or the cortex, from the Latin meaning bark-like, cortex. There's a mid part of the brain known as the limbic system, or it's often referred to as the mammalian brain, and then there's the lower part of the brain, often referred to the reptilian brain, which has the hippocampus, the brainstem, and so on, pons area. So he looked at these three regions vertically: the upper brain, concerned with cognition, thinking, planning, processing all the senses, right? The upper brain. The midbrain is really to do with affectivity. It's really managing the emotions, if you will. And then there's the lower brain, which is about action. So if you think about this as a structural system, thinking, feeling, doing, right? Now, what McLean said was this. He said there is a connecting system, it's known as the reticular activating system, the RS, which descends and ascends and links these three major systems of the brain together. And why is it doing that? And his major insight was this, that the primary purpose of the nervous system and the brain in particular is to take a thought and put it into action.
Sure.
Right? So, for example, when you look at creativity, you may have a creative idea or an insight. That's really what your cognition is coming up with, a thought or an idea or some inspiration, right? To take that into action, to literally manifest it, to go out and do something and make it happen, create a painting or create some technology or whatever, requires the middle piece. And that middle piece is the emotion. Now, the word emotion from the Latin movere means to move. Emotions move us. They're the fuel for action, all right? So if you think about it from the point of view of radical creativity, you've got this upper, middle, and lower brain working together to take thought into action, and that middle part is where that power, that emotive power comes. You know, if you've ever created something powerful in your life, whether it's a relationship or getting married or building a business, finding a home, whatever it is, starting a company, you've got to feel strongly about it. And that's the power of emotion. It moves us, right? So that architecture of the brain is something that is very important, and it's something we weave into our seminar. We're giving people the thinking tools, the emotional skills to turn on the power of their emotion. This is where the power of story, and then to go do something with it, make it happen. All right? So in a way, we could say that the brain, the architecture of the brain, is not only modeling the creative process, it's actually modeling business. Because business is nothing more than what? Taking someone's idea or thought and manifesting it in the world and then being able to profit from that process. Business is about creativity. That's what it's about. That's what society is about. And I think one of the things we can learn from this work that we do in the Rad Creative is that we can do that without killing each other. We can do that without destroying the very home that we live in, right? We've got to get onto this new tack in humanity, which is creating a future that works for everyone.
So important.
Not just the few, but for everybody, right? And as Colt was saying earlier, you know, we now have technology democratizing the creative process, right? So we've got to take advantage of this time. This is the opportunity we've got right now. We can turn our world around by turning ourselves around. And that's what radical creativity is.
Well, from Redwoods to Oahu, hopefully we will all be chatting very, very soon. So thank you guys so much for your time today. It's been a great honor. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Julie.